Me and Eric recently went to one day we were hanging out. We went to Barnes and Noble.
That's true.
I have never been into graphic novels or comics, anything like that. But I was looking for something to read, and I kind of wanted to read something like that because I don't get much time.
Right.
So Eric pointed me in a direction, and I grabbed this story, and I finished it in probably record time for me, because I'm a slow reader. I like to absorb everything. So I brought it with me because I would like to discuss it.
I like how you say that you're a slow reader because you like to absorb everything.
That's how you
know.
try to sell it. Bone. I want you to see the thickness of bone. So
I plucked it from the shelf and said,
from the
you
shelf.
shall enjoy it, and also said, your kids will probably enjoy it as well.
Right. So I did just finish it, and I loved it. It was exactly how you said it would be. Mm-hmm. You said that it would probably start out, not slow, but feeling a little bit like for kids.
Right.
But eventually,
it is very light in the beginning. It is
right.
It is it very much harkens to Carl Barks, like Disney comics from way back in the day, like the McDuck comics,
right.
the having adventures and that sort of thing.
Which Jeff Smith, I think, said after, because obviously I read this and then couldn't get enough, so I was reading about it. He was influenced by.
Yes.
He used to read those.
Yeah, both his art style and the humor, and lots of Pogo. Like,
right.
Yeah, very, very influenced by Pogo as well, especially even the character designs.
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah.
It's a story about a character named Bone. It's actually about 3 friends who are from a different land,
and they're bone they're whatever their species, they're bones.
Yeah, they're called bones. You never find out where they're from.
Or
at
what
least
that
nothing.
even means.
Yeah, or what it means. I don't think they ever.
They look like bones, sort of.
And they end up in a human type land where there's a lot of conflict going on. Very Lord of the Rings kind of, but they find themselves involved in it reluctantly.
Well, because they're just trying to live their lives. Of the 3 of them, there's Bone, and then there's these 2 cousins, and the one is like a greedy sort of always looking for riches,
right.
And they're leaving where they had been because they got run out of town because
the greedy one, Phony Bone, is.
Yeah, he was
trying to run for office or whatever, and he
caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, so they're run out of town and find themselves in this land where they can't find their way back. And at first they're trying to find their way back, but then they get so involved in the story that they end up realizing, well, the main character ends up realizing he should stick around to help. Well,
because he likes Thorn.
Right, he has a little bit of a crush. Yeah, so I thought it was a great story, and yeah. I don't know how much I want to go into it because I don't know if it's like a spoiler kind of thing.
No, no. I think the magic of Bone and Jeff Smith's work here is that he took something that could have been just very much light and for kids, and he developed it over this course of this gigantic, it's 1,500 pages or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, it's 1,350 pages.
It slowly becomes this. The scope becomes grand and epic as it goes on, but it doesn't begin that way. It begins as a very lighthearted, very funny kind of adventure story of these cute little creatures having bizarre adventures with these interesting characters. I mean, there's a grandmother who kicks ass.
Yeah, she's very strong. She races cows.
Yeah, she has like an annual race against cows. Like, it's an old lady who races cows. She beats everybody up.
Who's one of the greatest characters in the book.
Yeah, she's absolutely incredible. But as it goes on, Smith builds up this lore of this sort of grander thing that's happening, this bigger, darker thing. There's these dark undertones that slowly become more and more present throughout the story. You've got the rat creatures, which are like the classic villains. They sort of replace the orcs, like they're the mass evil villains in here. And by the end, you've got this grand scope kind of a fantasy story about these people fighting for the very existence of this valley that they're all in. And by the time you get to the end, it's like, this is not the story that I started.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, I like that it's all completely self-contained. You get this, you get the big 1-volume edition, which you don't have to get the 1-volume edition. You can get them in the individual ones.
I remember when Eric, when you gave it to me, you said, "Oh, this is good because it's in black and white." because it is in black and white.
Yes.
They do sell a colored version because they colored it in later on because librarians were hoping that they could get kids to be into it a little bit more.
Yeah, there's Scholastic editions that are
Right.
that are colored. Though I very much prefer the black and
I was
white.
gonna say, but I agree. After seeing the colored version, I actually like the black and white because there's more detail in it.
Yeah, Smith is a really talented draftsman, and his sort of eye for composition is really good, and he uses blacks on the page in a really smart way, blacks and dead space and all this sort of stuff, so that once you've colored the work, it's different. It changes the dynamic of the page and the illustrations. So I very much prefer black and white. I think that is the way you should be reading it. But the color editions are nice too. But black and white's the way to go with it. It's a terrific piece of work. I think it's one of the great works of comics.
I mean, grab it. If you haven't ever read it and you're looking for something to read that's quick and a great adventure story,
I agree.
it's a good idea. Bond.